Welcome to Two Tired Teachers. I'm Vinay.
Hi, I'm Rumi.
Welcome back. We have another hot topic for you today. We want to talk about teacher burnout. And let me just say, as we get started, that we're probably going to ramble a lot because we have a lot to say about the first 6 weeks of this current school year. And it lends itself right into teacher burnout. So let's get started. Teacher burnout. I'm going to start with the Merriam-Webster dictionary definition, which I like to do all the time.
We're getting serious.
And I just think this is so funny. This is so funny. But according to Merriam-Webster, one of the definitions of burnout, not teachers specifically, but burnout, is exhaustion of physical or emotional strength or motivation, usually as a result of prolonged stress or frustration. But what I thought was the funniest part is their example of burnout in a sentence. When used as a noun, their sentence is, teaching can be very stressful,
wow.
And many teachers eventually suffer burnout. And then it goes on to talk about the burnout rate among teachers, blah, 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 blah. This is the dictionary. So that goes to show you that if they use that as a sample sentence in Merriam-Webster Dictionary or on Merriam-WebsterDictionary.com, it's a real thing. And it's something that is obviously happening. So it obviously needs to be addressed. Looking online, there are tons and tons of resources that talk about teacher burnout.
Different points of view?
Very different points of view. Very different points of view. So psychologists are even having conversations about this. Any educational site that you go to probably has something about teacher burnout. You can find all kinds of statistics that Rumi is going to share with you in a few minutes about some statistics. But the bottom line is it doesn't look good for us.
No.
It's not a good thing. And if you've been a teacher past a day, I'm sure you already understand why it's a thing. I'm sure you already understand why it's a thing. I want to read this quote. I'm reading directly from, it's called psychlearningcurve.org. It's kind of a psychology learning website, and I'll drop the link later. It says, what many fail to realize is that burnout is actually work-induced depression. According to research published in the Journal of Clinical Psychology, there is a significant overlap between burnout and depression. More specifically, educators experiencing burnout simultaneously exhibit depressive symptoms, including but not limited to loss of interest or pleasure in activities, mood swings, and fatigue. Okay, let's just get that established. There you go. So it's a serious thing. So even though we are in jest right now and we're kind of laughing about it, it is a serious kind of thing. And I think we have to laugh in order to kind of avert some of the seriousness of it. Because otherwise, I think we both just fall into puddles on the floor if we really actually thought about it.
For the last 3 weeks, I have not gotten off the floor. I'm still right there on the floor. So
you're experiencing teacher burnout right now. It's a serious thing, and even though we're kind of doing it in jest right now, it is something that you really need to look at, because you don't want it to overwhelm you to the point where you really get to a point where you can't come back. So I want her to share a couple of statistics that she found.
It was very interesting to look at because it's a lot of information. And obviously this is something that different investigative groups, different approaches are looking at. It comes from teachers unions, it comes from districts, it comes from medical institutions. institutions. So the big reveal for me when I looked at that was, oh, it's actually a recognized thing. Because we try to hide it as teachers, we hide it, we don't like to talk about. But where it gets very noticeable, it's that majority of our districts already have a employee mental health department.
Yes.
That should tell you how big of a problem it's becoming. Now, I looked at what are the major contributing facts to the teacher burnout. And interestingly enough, even though there was a different statistics, different things, there's specific groups that are in every single one of reports that I looked at. Here we go. I'm going to read about it because, so, the big one, intense workload. Do we go into? We already know what it is. Then the second one, it's administrative issues. The third one, student behavior. The fourth one, environment stress. And then from that, it just starts going down, but you still have low salary. Yeah, obviously. Then you have interaction with parents, which is another factor. You have officially in almost every single one of those statistics, the test scores and the pressure to get the test scores. And then one of the big ones that is becoming a big problem for teachers and for their families, it's the lack of resources, because now teachers are supplementing those resources, paying from their salary for that. Yeah.
So didn't you have some specific percentages of, where teachers fall in this?
So what I'm looking like, I made a little bit of colorful thing to see. We're talking that close to 80% is that intense workload, administrative issues. Then close to like 75%, it's going to be environmental stress and student behavior. And around 40 to 50% will be the low salary, because that means you have to work another job. Mm-hmm. So there's no break there. Then the other one, the lack of resources, which was kind of a surprise for me. No, it should not be. It's close to 60%.
And based upon those statistics, I remember when I first started 100 years ago, that the statistic was that in the first, I think it was 7 to 10 years, teachers would quit because they couldn't take it. And now I think it's down to like 3 years. Within 3 years, teachers are quitting because of these things. So to kind of bring it into perspective for us right now, because we're kind of in that ready to quit right now kind of stage. Let's just give you an example of what we mean. So both of us have been out of the classroom, me for 4 years and you for 2.5 years. So for me, let me just give you a little background. If you've not watched any of the other videos, I was given the opportunity to become a coach, teacher coach, and interventionist. So that is what I have done for the last 4 years. Going into this year, I was opposed to, I thought, be doing the exact same thing, functioning as an interventionist, not so much the coach, but the interventionist for math. However, this year has turned into a whole another kind of a hurricane. And this year I have the privilege of being able to work in the same building with Rumi again after so many
Finally.
years, and I've been apologizing to her
Oh, okay.
since day one because of this hurricane that we find ourselves in. So I was told right before school started that because of my position, we have a new principal, and because of our position, and let me just put this caveat in, the principal has the right to be able to put you in whatever position that they feel is necessary based upon your current job and what title you're paid out of. So I am considered an at-risk teacher, and I am paid out of Title I funds. So being an at-risk teacher, the principal can decide what they deem as at-risk in that school and put me in that situation. So as a result of that, our building, unfortunately, has had a lot of teachers who have not been able to start the year long term for various situations. So it was decided that me and the other interventionist for reading would become long-term subs for 2 second grade teachers that both happen to be out long-term. Let me say it again. Second grade. Second grade. So if you know me, second grade is not my thing. If you know me, you know I'm not certified in anything under the 4th grade on purpose. Because primary is not my thing. It is not my personality. I am not singy-songy. I don't want to do it. Let me repeat, I don't want to do it. So I certified myself accordingly. However, in a temporary position, I'm a teacher. I can be placed there. So I've been placed there for 6 weeks. I've been in second grade. So I was called in on Wednesday and told that I have to move out on Friday, and starting Monday, that's coming up, I'll be a 4th grade teacher.
I'm going to let you
Take it away. Take it away.
Well, I went back to the classroom after being a coach, pretty good one actually, because I decided to change districts. And when you go from one district to another district, unless there is a special invitation or something like that, you usually go back to the classroom and you start building again, which I was perfectly well, no problems with that. I knew what's going on, I knew why is it and everything else. Plus, in my head was, finally, after so many years, I get the privilege to start working again with Renee. So that was good, but on my interview, I was selected because of specific characteristics that I have as a teacher and things I could bring in as a teacher and as an experience of coach. It started pretty nicely for me, and then things did not go well because turns out that now my personality is not fitting perfectly well with what the new principal thinks about personality of a teacher, which is a perception, and it should not even be in the
Yeah.
But my burnout is completely different. My thing is that, specific in the district that I went now, they don't have a very good track of taking care of new teachers and new to the district teachers. So I have been in districts where the new teachers, new to the district teachers, they start pretty much 2 weeks before everybody else, and they go in trainings in where they have been taught since how to use the grade book and how to use the daily attendance and everything else. In this district, this does not happen, and it becomes me going around and asking and feeling that I'm not doing the job, but I can't get out of it because I don't know what the job is. It's like you expected me to do something, but I don't even know that you expected me to do something. and it's running in the last minute all the time. So that has contributed very much to me not feeling comfortable after 30 years in education. It's because it's not that I don't know what to do. It's just a complete mystery for me. The expectation is a mystery, the program's a mystery, pretty much it's clicking.
And for the most part, I feel like they assume that every district does the same thing the same way and uses all of the same stuff. When we all know for sure, I can walk across the street to the next district and it'll be like
completely different.
It'll be 100% different. And there's this perception that, you know, it's all the same, so what is the issue? And I agree with her in having come to this district from another state. You know, a lot of things were just, you know, they just say, do this. Okay.
What's that?
And then what? You know, without a proper training. So I can see where that would give anybody some angst. So both of us have been thrown into situations. I mean, to be told on Wednesday that Friday you have to move and by Monday you have to be ready to teach at another grade level after 6 weeks. So this is going to be like 6 weeks in will be like the first day of school again for me, because I don't know any of these children. I don't know, you know, exactly where they are in the curriculum. You know, I'm going to have a conversation with the teacher that they had, because we literally are switching rooms. That's literally what happened. She's going to where I was. I'm going to where she was. So we didn't even have time to sit down and say, okay, this is where I stopped in the curriculum. This is where you got to pick it up. And for her to tell me the same thing. We didn't even have time. Rumi could tell you she was there yesterday after school helping me complete my move just into the other room. So Monday I'm expected to walk into a brand new class, brand new grade level with a brand new curriculum and start teaching on the fly. Yeah.
Talking about.
Right. So that's just like a small kind of example of the things that can happen that you have to be prepared for. Now, both of us easily, she's being very nice with what she's sharing. You know, she also has some behavior issue in her room that's like 100% out of control.
Yes.
That, you know, again, you go back to how other people perceive is the best way to handle a situation. And, you know, from the teacher point of view, that way is not working.
No.
So, you know, it's infringing upon the teacher being able to do their best work because they're having to deal with this behavior situation. So we have all of these things going on all at one time, and we're only 6 weeks in. We're only 6 weeks in. And I'll say it again, we're only 6 weeks in. So I'm already
repeating it.
I know. So I'm already at, I'm not looking forward to Thanksgiving. I am looking forward to Thanksgiving break, and I am looking forward to Christmas break, and I am looking forward to spring break, but I'm more looking forward to the end of the year.
In 6 weeks in, we already counted.
We're already there.
Which is sad.
It's very sad.
It's very sad because you're just starting to build whatever you're doing. You all now by the 6th week, you kind of have the hard time of building a relationship done. You pass this point. You kind of figure out the rhythm of the class and everything else. And you're so tired that you're not enjoying it, which is so sad. For me, it has been one of the big factors because of me trying to catch up with everything. I have not had time to enjoy what I usually do in the classroom. And the other part that it has been kind of difficult, not being allowed to be me as a teacher. And I'm not saying, you know, whatever, I'm a very adaptive person, but the creative part of how to present to the very high kids and to the very low kids the same thing, the creative part, being constricted has been a very difficult situation with me.
And it's almost an oxymoron, so to speak.
It is.
Whereas you say there should be differentiation in your class, but you don't give me the freedom to differentiate the way that I know is going to work best. So it's almost as if you don't value me as a professional.
Exactly.
So we all had to go to,
Exactly.
as my friend says, teacher college
Yes.
to get this degree. And we're supposed to be professionals. And supposedly, whatever teacher college you went to, they taught you some things, or you've garnered some things on your own, just by your own personal research of ways that you could differentiate all these different levels. Because let's just be clear, most of the schools that we're going to deal with, your classroom is going to be filled with tier 1, tier 2, and tier 3, and probably more 2 and 3 than 1. So you have to have a big box of tricks. But when you are told you can't use those things, even to the detriment of helping your students, what is that?
Yeah.
So that goes back to like the very first thing you had on your list. And I think
administrative issues.
The lack of mine says the lack of administrative support, but it also, I think ours are kind of flipped around. It's talking about the extreme number of responsibilities above and beyond instruction. So you get all these responsibilities that they expect for you to do, but then you want to put your thumb on, how I do it. So you're kind of boxing teachers in. So already you're feeling some kind of angst.
Yeah. No, and I want to say that because I want to be very clear with this part. It's not just on a campus level or whoever is in your campus. It comes from the top of the state of the national programs. How many of us are working with standards that no teacher has input on it? In our state, there was not even an educator when the standards were built and presented. It's like, okay, would it be the logical part to ask the teachers how that is working? No. So now, here is where my admiration for teachers comes, and I know this is such a foreigner concept for a lot of people in power. Those people are put in place where they have to look at a standard. They already know that it's not on the level of their kids, and they make it work. This is how the professional and how knowledgeable the teachers are. To the point of where if you don't know how to, you have the courage and the knowledge to go and ask somebody that knows how to. How many other professions have that? None. And we have talked about it before that, but I mean, it's not just what's going on the campus, it's not just what's going on in the district, because even the districts have to comply with whatever is coming from the state, and sometimes the national programs that we're bound to. It's just that not seeing what's going on and not listening what the teachers are telling you, it kind of becomes to the point where teaching, and I hate that phrase. Teaching is a vocation, it's not a profession. No. Yes, I do that because I love teaching, because I know how to teach, because I have been doing it with success for the longest time that you can imagine, in a different settings. I mean, completely different settings. So it should say that in some level I'm good. But when you never listen to what I'm saying, even for the day-to-day things in the classroom, there is no vocation that can pull me out and say, well, you're doing it just for the love of the kids. I'm not just doing it. Literally, there are days where I'm fighting for the kids. And it becomes that feeling of, why should I be fighting to do the correct thing for my students? Why? And if you think this is incorrect, I agree with it. Don't worry about it. You think this is incorrect, now come and convince me how to do whatever you think it should be. But that lack of respect, I think it's one of the other things that makes a lot of teachers leave. The new teachers, the new generation of teachers, by the third year, and majority of the other teachers by the fifth year, even they're out of the teaching or out of the classroom.
Mm-hmm.
That's why we have so many people going for master's and doctorate degree with 1 or 2 years of experience, because the goal now is, I'm not in the classroom,
right.
I'm getting out of the classroom.
Right.
Sad. I'm not going to say now.
Yeah. And I can tell you, just being out of the classroom for 4 years and then coming back and having to deal with all of the changes that have happened just in 4 years, I'm not understanding how anybody is able to do anything. You know, I'm one of those teachers, even when I was not, during the time that I wasn't in the classroom, I'm going to be in the building at 6:30 in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I know that sounds crazy, but that's me. I've always been very early because I need that time. I'm not necessarily going to stay all night, but yesterday I was there 6:30 in the morning. I didn't leave until 7:15 p.m. We used to have a principal that used to tell us in staff meetings all the time, you're a teacher from 11:59 to 12:01.
12:01.
Period. Yeah. Basically, you got a minute off, 2 minutes off. That was it.
Yeah.
You were free for 2 minutes. Otherwise, you're a teacher. But it just boggles my mind that we happen to be in that profession where it's assumed that because, like you said, because you chose this profession, that you should be okay with doing ungodly hours. You should be okay with neglecting your family. You should be okay with not having a life outside of education. You should be okay with that because that's what you chose. When, yes, but no.
No.
Because there aren't a lot of other professions where people take on that profession and mix their whole life. Now, granted, some of your moguls do that kind of thing, but they vacation hard too. And they make the money to be able to do it. And they buy big toys. We don't make the money to be able to do that. So when everybody says, oh, but you get summers off.
Oh,
yeah, I'm getting summers
about
off so that I can spend some money to get ready for the next year. So I can catch all the end of the year sales and that kind of thing and get my mind together about what I think I want to do next year and that kind of thing. We don't have summers off. We have summers too. That's like an extended planning. It's like an extended planning because most of us don't have money to, we're going to be footloose and fancy free and we're going to jump on a yacht and go sail the 7 seas. Most of us don't have that kind of money. So you can see why teachers are easily becoming burned out, and it's getting more and more every day because the expectations are harder.
They're unrealistic.
Yeah.
Not just hard. I was part of a panel when one of the principal that hired me went to another city. Then there is that, for me, just a public thing that where a panel of teachers of that school, a part of the interview process. Literally, we had a candidate for principal that when we asked what he needs to work on, he said, I have to remind myself that teachers are human beings with families and they need to go home. He had to remind himself that we are human beings with family. Yeah, obviously that was not the principal that we chose, but once again, how far away you are removed from what's going on in the classrooms, in the campuses with the teachers, if you forget that the teacher is a human being. Same thing, we're preaching here to the choir with you get summers off. No, they're not paid, so how am I getting off?
No.
One of this, they don't get, people don't get that. And it's interesting because when we get paycheck, and we have to feel like, I'm getting paycheck through the summer. Well, no, the way that it's put on. It's like we, the teachers, because we are allowing the districts to do that, we're giving them a long-term loan without interest.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's what, instead of paying us the big lump sum that we're supposed to, we're stretching it, and the district can use that. We're okay with it, the districts are okay with it, but then don't tell me that I get summers off. I don't. I'm not paid for it. Plus, really? How many summers we get off? It's the time to do the PDs.
Mm-hmm.
It's the time to put everything in order. It's the time when you go to the dentist, to the doctor. That part of the insane expectations of workload. And let me add to that, repetitive and unnecessary workload. Straightforward and necessary. We're living in the age of technology, so you're doing almost everything on technology, so the parents can see it, the kids can see it, and everything else. Oh no, we're still going to write whatever you wrote in the technology, we're going to write right here in this piece of paper. And my question has always been, okay, first of all, why? And then if it has to be on a piece of paper, can I just print it out?
Mm-hmm.
No, it has to be written, Unnecessary and going over and over. I want to touch on one more thing that I think it's a big burnout. We have jumped the line of being just teachers. The expectation is that we are behavior interventionists, psychologists, half-times parents, economical back pocket for whatever it's needed, but it's not there. So just being a teacher, the description of being a teacher, it's not something that we are one of the interesting enough, I read that in Newsweek, we are one of the outside of the Silicon Valley, we are the profession, number one profession that gets on trend with technology faster than anybody else. Mm-hmm. Because we have to use more and more and new so we can catch up with whatever the society is using at this point. And yet, we're the only profession that I know that it's restricted so much.
Yeah. So now that we've given you all this doom and gloom, which you're already probably aware of, mm-hmm. let's just say we've been doing it over 20 plus years, over 30 plus years. So we obviously love it.
Oh yeah.
With all of these things that are wrong with it, we obviously love it. And if you continue to do it for a long time, then you obviously love it too. Mm-hmm. But we're still going to always have these gripes. So we were having a conversation previously about, so what do we do to overcome it? And based on most of the literature, the way you overcome it is quit. And so those people that quit, they did what needed to have been done. But all of us don't have the luxury or the desire to just quit. So there has to be other things that we can do in order to circumvent burnout. Some of those things require that we have somebody that we can talk to mm-hmm. and vent. Everybody needs a person that can vent. And I mean that you can honestly go to and have a conversation and say, this is where I am, this is how I'm feeling. And they may not necessarily have an answer to fix your problem, but you need to have somebody that you can talk to, because if you keep the stuff all bottled up, it's like anything else. It'll get to you in the end. So you need somebody that you can talk to. And there's a meme that's been going around probably, on Facebook and Instagram, about any other teacher kind of things or just kind of things, and it says check on your strong friend. That's usually the one bleeding in silence. And another version of it says check on your strong friends because they may not be okay. And you have to remember, whomever that person is that you're going to talk to all the time, they need somebody to talk to too. So as you're dumping on them, remember they have their own stuff too. Mm-hmm. So sometimes when you come to them, they may not be a good listener for you that day because it's their turn.
Yes.
And they may need to dump, so to speak, also. God only knows that this 6 weeks, we've had some mornings where she cried and I listened. I cried, she listened. We both cried. I couldn't curse in Bulgarian because that's her native tongue. But, we said a few little words and we made up some words and we did some things and we ate some chocolate and she drank some Pepsi or whatever. Yes. But you need to have those things so that you don't keep it bottled up within yourself. Some other things that I found is that, you have to look at things from another perspective. It says when you feel hopeless, find perspective. So sometimes we just have to look at it from a different lens. We may not agree with it. Most of the time we won't agree with it. But you have to look at it from a different perspective. And my biggest thing is I try to always look at it through the lens of what is best for my students. What is best for my students, and whatever that is, then that's the way that I'm going to work towards that goal. A big one is to declare some me time. I don't know if you've been paying attention, but everywhere you go, people are talking about self-care. And I'm going to get back to that in a minute. But you need to always have that in the forefront of your mind. Don't make education your life. Have a hobby. Have a hobby. Don't make education your life. Because there's a big world out there. And there's other things that you are passionate about. There are other things that you love to do. Do some of those things because it helps to keep you fresh. It helps to keep you from going into a place of despair when you have something else to look forward to. So don't make it your life. Some other things is another thing I found that said don't give yourself extra homework. That means stop bringing so much stuff home. Just stop. Because how many of you are like me? You pack that bag up every single solitary night and bring it home and sit it on that chair or that table and never open it. Some days I don't even take it out of the car. So what did I bring it home for? I don't know. Because I have those days where I say, oh, how to get away with murder coming on tonight. I will not be checking any papers because I will be seeing what Annalise is doing today. So don't give yourself extra homework. We have to find a way. That's another reason why I go early. I can get some of this stuff done early in the morning before, stuff gets hectic while my mind is still fresh. And then I don't have to take it home. But when I do take it home, some of the times it just gets a ride home and it gets a ride back to school. And it's okay. It is okay. Yes. And we just have to be okay with it. So in our last couple of minutes, I want to end this whole situation with, again, we love what we do. Yes. But we have to be realistic. Sometimes we hate the way that we have to do it. We love what we do, but we sometimes hate the way that we have to do it. We sometimes hate the situations that we're put into that we have to work through so that the students don't know what's going on and they just think, I'm coming to school for a normal day. And they don't know the ins and outs of what the teacher has had to go through. Just like we have to look at them and say, we don't know some of the things that they had to go through just to get to school. They don't know some of these things we have to go through just to be there for them. So it works both ways. But it's not all bad. You have your moments. When you see the light bulbs go off, you know that it was all worth it. But just know for sure, a lot of things are going to happen that you don't agree with, that you cannot control. So me, in the situation that I'm in this year, I can't control it because, one, I'm not the principal. And if I were the principal, then I wouldn't be in the situation in the first place because I'd be telling somebody else you're in that situation. Exactly. So, and those of you that are aspiring administrators, I always tell my friends that are aspiring administrators, remember those things that you hated as a teacher that administrators did to you. remember those things when you become an administrator, because if you didn't like them, the people that serve you are not gonna like them either. Now, like she said, some things we can't get around because they come from the state or they come from the national situation, and we can't get around those. But some things are just based upon a principal's whims. I'm just gonna throw it out there. It's based upon the principal's whims, their own personality, things that they like, what they feel is the best, what they agree with. Some of those things are based upon that. And, you know, before you throw something at a teacher that is not a district, state, or national mandate, it's just something that you want to see happen, think about it. Think it through. Think about your days as a teacher. And maybe that's the problem. You've not been a teacher long enough, or it was so long ago that you don't have the perspective of a classroom teacher anymore. But think about those things.
And never approach a teacher because of your own personal perspective or your own personal perception. Your perception and your perspective, it's your prerogative. We all see the world differently. So find a middle ground where you can understand what the other person is doing, how is he doing it, why is he doing it. And if you can talk about it, you will understand, and the teacher will understand. That's specific for the new expired administration members. Same thing. Think about it. Remember what it was. Remember how you wanted to go home to your family because your kid was sick, and just let that one teacher or this group of teachers remember that they have somebody at home waiting. The kids in the classroom are not the only ones that need them. So kind of the big picture is we all work together for the kids that are coming for us, but we all have our own stories behind. If you can see that, you will work on that as a team. Now, for the teachers, I have been for the longest time one of those teachers, coaches, and everything else. I was the laughing part of the class, the school. They actually showed me that there is a shower and a bed in the nurse's office, so I can just sleep over there. This year, it's completely different for me. I have forced myself to get out on time. No work at home. Nothing that I need to do on paper goes at home. I do go early in every morning, 2 hours before the day starts, and that is my plan. I forced myself doing it. I'm still not liking it, but I am forcing myself. This is part of I need to take care of me and my family.
And I know we kind of rambled near the end, but I think you get the gist of what we're trying to say. Teacher burnout is a real thing, but any kind of burnout is a real thing.
Yes.
So any job that you have could cause you some burnout, and it's a real thing. And I think my bottom line is we have to take care of ourselves, because we can't expect who we work for to have that kind of expectation that they're going to always do what's right for each of us individually. So we have to take it upon ourselves to make sure that we remain healthy. So with that, I'm going to say that teacher self-help is a thing. You hear about self-help all the time, and I know some people just like, you're not into that, and that's just some of this new age stuff. But because of the society we live in, there are a lot of stressors out there for everybody. It doesn't matter what profession you're in. Even if you're not in a profession, stay-at-home moms and dads have as much stressors as those of us that have to get out here and fight in this this workforce. So self-help is a real thing, and we all need it. There is a teacher self-help conference that goes around the country. Right now, I know that it's in 4 different states. So I'm going to put the link in the description box with this video. If it comes to a state near you and you know that you're dealing with some of the anxiety and different things that go on with the profession of teaching or in education as a whole, you might consider going to one of these self-help conferences. If not, at least go have your feet done. Go have your nails done. That's what I did this morning. I went to have my feet done so that I could get my feet massaged and my legs massaged. And it's a little thing, but it did a lot for me. That's kind of a self-help kind of thing. But whatever it is that you have to do to decompress, to bring yourself back to center, I'm admonishing you to do that in a healthy way. You can look at me and see I love to eat, but sometimes that's a problem. I'm just gonna put it out there. Sometimes that's a problem. So we know some people eat emotionally. Some people do other things for emotions. Some people don't eat for emotionally. Whatever it is, we all have those things that cause us some angst, and we need to take care of them. So please, please, please know that teacher burnout is real. It's not some hooey. Psychologists and psychiatrists and everybody, all the other are looking into it, so it's a real thing. We know that there are teachers that have to take medications to be able to deal with these kind of things. We know that people self-medicate in a lot of different ways, whether it be food, alcohol, or drugs. We don't condone any of those, even though,
you can see it.
Self-help is a thing. So get some help. Help yourself, because she may not come to me and say you need some help. I have to look myself in the mirror and say, this is how I'm feeling. I'm not feeling good. I need some help, and I need to go get it. Self-help. Please take care of yourself.
And I'm going to just one step forward, because it's already there for us. If you feel that you need it, just go to the teacher's mental health department in your district and ask for the help if you need it. It's one of those things that we try not to say, and we try to hide. But between sitting and talking to somebody that is actually trained for that and taking anxiety medicine, probably we should try the talking first before the chemical intake. Give yourself permission to say, no, this is not what I'm going to do. Even though it's hard, it's extremely hard right now for me to keep with that. Just keep going, get out exactly on time, don't do work at home. It's extremely hard because I'm not like this. I usually do hours and hours and hours, but for me it became a family problem, and it became a physical problem. So if I have to force myself, I'll do it. Please take care. You will have this kind of burnout every single year and 2-3 times through the year.
Right.
And yet you as a person are the most valuable one. And if you are not okay, then your family will not be okay.
And your students won't be okay.
And your students will not be okay.
So take care.
Take care.
Have a great week out there.
Smile.
We're depending upon you.
Live on time. Bye.
Bye.